Khalif Kairo is one of the flamboyant car dealers in the country, but what most people don't know is where his journey started.
Well, I had a very nice childhood, very happy childhood. My mom raised me well. I was raised by a single mother. So my dad was in the picture, but they were not like, married, walikuwa wanaishi pamoja and whatnot. So I grew up relatively most of the time. I spent most of the time, say 80-70% of the time with my mom. She used to have a shop. Grew up in Kawangware, so I grew up in the shop. So I think I was born when my mom had this small shop. So I grew up in that shop. And nakumbuka even I tell guys all my childhood photos nimepigwa kando ya bale za unga, bale za mkate. Yeah, so I'd say I'd comfortably say I grew up in a business environment. So from 2006 when I was in class 4, my mom would even entrust me with the shop. I started money in our shop when I was, I think, 2004 nilikuwa old. I was like 2006, I was 10 years old. Hapo ndio I started money in our shop. But generally, I had a lifestyle. I had a upbringing like any other kid. I had a small bicycle. I'd ride it around the area, around Kawangware. Yeah.
After high school, Cairo chose to look for employment instead of pursuing university.
I finished high school in 2014, same November. But by the time I was finishing high school, I'd already figured out what I wanted to do. I wanted to go into business, and cars were my thing. Ever growing up, I had a passion in two things: flying and cars. If I'd taken the campus route, I'd have probably either become a lawyer or something, or maybe a pilot, but mostly a pilot. But at that point, my mom couldn't afford taking me to flight school. So I gravitated more towards the business side because things were very bad at home at that particular point. The business wasn't doing well. So many issues, if I can remember well, at that particular point. So I started looking for a job, and I was lucky to get one in 2015, January. A place called the Ocean Cross on Gitanga Road. Nowadays it's called Autofest, but before Autofest it was called Ocean Cross. Yeah. So I worked with Ocean Cross for 2 years, learned the ropes, understood the industry. Because with most of these big businesses, you need to understand. You can't just start selling. You actually need to understand how the business goes. Mambo inakuanga aje.
In 2015, while seated on that Mercedes-Benz at Ocean Cross Autos, Cairo didn't think he would end up owning his own yard.
That was at Ocean Cross. That was around 2015. Kijana mdogo, fresh in the industry, very naive, but very ambitious and aggressive. Yeah. So that was 2015, yeah. No, I mean, it's wild. I honestly never expected to have a showroom at this age. I think for me, I give all credit to God. Because you see at times as human beings we plan, we put ourselves at certain levels, but God is the ultimate pawn master. He knows where you're supposed to be, at what age, at what time. So I honestly never expected. Yeah. But I remember my bosses used to say, look, Kairo is very aggressive. We'll give him like 10 years, we'll see when atakuwa. I never took it seriously. But now looking back in hindsight, I think they saw the aggression in me. But I mostly credit it to God. I wouldn't say it's the aggression because along the way, there are so many things that would have killed me. But the fact that I'm here telling this story, I mean, it's a blessing by itself.
Cairo will never forget that first car he ever sold.
Nissan Primera. Still remember it very well. Registration, is it a KBP or a KBR? Something like, no, it was a KBR, white. Sold it to a lady in Nakuru. I still have her contact. We delivered it on a beautiful Monday. 2015 March, thereabout. We delivered that car in Nakuru. And I remember we met at a restaurant. She paid some money in cash. Tukampatia logbook na tukarudi na gari yake trading Toyota IST registration KBP. Yeah. So I remember my first sales very well. At that point it was a wild dream. Everything just felt like a dream come true.
Cairo learned the most from working at Ocean Cross Autos.
No, it was fun. Ocean Cross taught me a lot of things. Because in fact, Ocean Cross, the directors at that point, there's a guy called Mr. Sam Dwati. Tena kulikuwa na jamaa wengine wawili. Dwati was the overall guy. Then there was Mwangi. Then there was Gitao. So these were Mercedes people. They were Mark guys. So they taught me. And a huge chunk of our clientele was German oriented. So I got a lot of experience with the Germans dealing with those guys. But now I think later on in life I broke off and started doing more of Audi. Became more of an Audi fan. Still an Audi fan even now. But they taught me a lot of things. To talk to clients, to deal with suppliers, how to sell cars generally. There are some lessons I still apply that I learned there. I still apply to this day. Even generally the running of a showroom. There are so many things you learn with the businesses, and I still apply them to this day. That's how we run Kai and Caro.
Having been in the industry for years, Cairo has a unique perspective on the most important thing when dealing cars.
I think honesty. Honesty is a very critical aspect, because I realize the biggest drawback to a lot of car dealers in Kenya, the biggest issue affecting our industry, guys are just greedy. Guys are just greedy. Like what we want to most of the most successful showrooms that have fallen in Nairobi, if you dig, like one get wanashinda kuuza magari, it's because of greed. Mtu anakuwa greedy, you start eating clients' money, you start eating suppliers' money, and then he just shoots you in the feet. A lot of guys are greedy. People want to fake lifestyles. People want to bite more than they can chew. But you see, there's the option of just taking things, slowly. Yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge I've seen with a lot of car dealerships here.
When Cairo decided to leave Ocean Cross, he had already mapped out what he wanted to do.
That was in 2016 December. So I resigned in 2017 February. Yeah, 2017 February I resigned. I started freelancing around Hurlingham. So the guys probably on Twitter, if this interview will go on Twitter, I will tell you that they first met me maybe in Jabavu Lane, Hurlingham. There's a showroom called K and Cairo. It's still there. So I started. There's another guy who also played quite a role in my life. His name was Newton. So Newton used to have a showroom with his brother Andy. Just up Jabavu Lane. Very nice guys. So these guys, they literally, it was more of an informal showroom where you could like go do your deals. Ukichapa deal hapo unaachia showroom kati yao. So that's where I used to operate from mostly. I became more of a freelancer. So I'd wake up, take a mat, go to Hurlingham, chill hapo, tafuta tu biashara, piga kadin. Yeah, simpler things.
So you're saying that you can freelance when it comes to selling cars?
Yeah, that's what I keep telling guys even on Twitter. Yeah, you can freelance. Like for example, right now it has like 500 cars. Even my sales people here, they're not going to give attention to all those 500 cars. There are very good deals in that website that just require someone with the energy to keep reposting them, keep sharing them. And you'll find maybe you share 10 cars, you sell 2, you make a commission of 30K on each one of them. Hata ukikata withholding tax, which is like 5% of your commission, bado unabaki na dofiti, utakosa 50K yako. Yeah. So a lot of guys freelance. That's another aspect. It's called being a broker. Right now I'm a broker. Yeah.
After being a broker for a while, Cairo decided it was time to settle down.
I freelanced for quite a while. Along the way, I moved to Kiambu Road. 2019, 2019 is when like I decided with one of my buddies, let me just call them former buddies. But you know what? Look, I have a very big following online because I found Imports by Kairo, the page now, around 2017. Yeah, 2017 is when I found that page. So from 2017, 2018, 2019, I'm now operating under Imports by Kairo, but it's not registered as a company. It's my page. So 2020 decided, 2019, tail end of 2019, I'm like, no, look, I can't be a broker forever. I need to get a place, start a company, settle down, and just run my own show. So of course, I didn't have, at that point, you don't even have the confidence because you're used to, brokerage is simple. Running an entire company is a different ballgame. Brokerage is very simple because even if you made like 100K the entire month or 80K the entire month, hata go on expenses. Expenses kama sijui adverts nini, you could pay your adverts like 10,000, 20,000. With a showroom that's like that's a drop in the ocean. Showrooms, for you to get the sort of hype Kai and Cairo gets online, you're talking about hundreds of thousands in terms of marketing. So at that point I decided, you know what, look, I think I'm ready, but instead of going at it alone, let me partner with these two other guys, and we partner, and now Imports by Kairo, the company, is now formed in 2020 March. Yeah. So that's when we set up. We opened shop at the height of COVID. I remember when we were finishing the office, is when Uhuru Kenyatta, former president, shuts down the country.
Even though they started the business at the height of COVID, it was never affected by the pandemic.
I think I'm just probably a passenger, because I think the person who runs my companies is God. Every company I've ever been in, which I've owned, even the ones that I'm founding, let me just say it's God. Because when Imports by Kairo was formed, it was at the height of COVID. But let me tell you something, we sold a lot of cars. Like we didn't feel the effect. In fact, the problem for us was we have a client in Narok, Kumeko roadblock Limuru. Now, how do we bypass this roadblock? And I remember that there's a deal I once did, tulipatania na watu kwa boda. border ya Nairobi at that point pale Limuru. So we crossed the border na ukora tukapitisha huko, tukapitisha X1 ya White huko, tukapeleka Limuru, we got paid, tukachukua nduthi tukarudi side nyingine. Mad days. Very mad days.
After starting the fast company with his friends, they began having serious disagreements about the business.
I think at that point I was young, and guys I partnered with also not very. Let me just say, none of us had the experience of running a company. And I think we also had very different objectives. Now in hindsight, it's been 1 year since I left imports. I think we just had different. Let me just say, people have different motivations, a very different moral compass, and a different way of doing things. People who are shrewd, people who are diplomatic, people who are just stupid. So it depends. People operate businesses with very different mindsets. And I wouldn't say there's no perfect mindset. Like guys who run businesses like bad people and they make a lot of money. The others who run business like diplomatic people and they lose. And there's still others who run businesses diplomatically and they lose. So we had a clash. We had a lot of clashes in terms of personalities. Oh, Kairo, you're doing this. Oh, you shouldn't be doing this. You see me personally, even the way I engage people on my Twitter. I'm very proactive. I'm very active on social media. People will say I'm controversial. I'd say I'm just eccentric. That's my character. And so Napata, we had so many issues, even with our own characters. We never blended well. And unfortunately, or fortunately for me, I think last year I got to a point where I couldn't work, and I just decided to resign. I seeded everything. When I left Imports by Kairo, the company had a shareholding of like 33. I seeded everything. I was paid 1 shilling for my shareholding. Yeah. But it was the right thing. But you see, it wasn't a random decision. I tell people I pray. And you see, when you pray, God has a way of communicating to people who pray. So I believe God was like, leave these guys. I felt that conviction. Leave. Don't take anything. Don't stake anything. Don't fight. Simply resign. In fact, everybody was shocked. Because I remember when I made the decision to resign, we were mediating on how we would run the company. So we were like, let's meet after a week. And then that week, I go pray, talk to my pastor, I talk to my mom. And all of them are like, what? Leave them. You're so good. You're very good at whatever you do. Provided you have nobody has killed you. You're in good shape. You have your reputation intact, leave. Yeah. So I took that advice, and I think it's the best thing I've ever done in my life. So I took my mom's advice, my pastor's advice, and I was like, what? I'm going to leave. I left. So I handed over everything. That was in September, exactly 1 year ago actually. And flew to Japan, started making other deals. October, this showroom used to be owned by some guys called Urban Drive. So and these are people I'd worked with for quite a while, even when I was doing my freelance. So yeah, I came back, we had an agreement. They moved to another showroom. Wakatuacha sisi tukiwa hapa. And now the rest is history. We're doing very well. We are pushing cars. We're still, you see, it's a new company, still struggling to break even. But, God is there with us. We're moving well. The energy is good. The team is growing. Yeah.
After leaving his first company and now running a very successful one, what does one need to be successful in business?
Look at how the Arabs do business. Go to Dubai, go to Qatar, go to Saudi Arabia. These guys have a lot of money. All the world's money right now. One of the biggest hubs for the world's money is in a place like Dubai. Yeah. Look at how those people treat their God. Lunchtime, they're shut down for prayers. It doesn't matter. In fact, in some Emirates like Sharjah, these guys will literally, it's actually a crime. Hata ku run company for that period from 2 to from I think 1 or 2 or 4, you go to those even Sharjah spare parts market, everybody shut down. And it's time ya mosque. And they respect that. They respect their God. And they respect their spirituality. Now, people want to start businesses, but they want to ignore the spiritual part. They want to assume everything is just logic. Oh, we'll start a company, we'll put a lot of money in marketing, we'll get clients. Done, and we'll be very successful. Yeah. That's what people assume, but that's not the case. There's a spiritual aspect to life, and to be successful at anything, not just business, even marriage, even in your own personal life, it pays to have a relationship with God. So I keep telling people, like, just try and craft it. Pray, toa type zako, do your offerings, be a nice person. It just doesn't stop with being, maybe be a good person, treat your people well, and God will treat you well. But you can't be a bad person. You treat your people bad and you want to grow. So you might grow, but maybe you'll never achieve that level which maybe God intended you to. Yeah. So there are people who will run business like that. And maybe even maybe it's from their spiritual side. Maybe whatever they serve is maybe it's a bad energy. We just call it a bad energy they serve. So they also have to be bad. They have to do mean things, they have to do bad things. And then we have us who serve God, and we try to be good people because we serve God. So there's that spirituality that people need to understand. Again, a very interesting thing. Look at the Indians. How do they treat their temples? How do they treat their religion? Now, go to industrial area, all the big factories, who owns them? Yeah, it's Asians. Why? They are in touch with their spirituality. They're in touch with their spirituality. But you can't be, once you go to hedonist, Chere 24/7, you have no spiritual backing, you don't know who you're serving. Choose a side, serve it to your best.
Starting Kai and Cairo was the hardest part of his life. That's when he texted his mom for a loan of 100,000 Kenya shillings.
Exactly 1 year ago. So at that point, I'd literally sunk. At that point, my money was stuck at imports. I had money stuck at imports. I had founded Kai and Caro August. So that's last year. Ndio nilikuwa nimekaa chini because I actually sat down. I drafted a concept. And at that point, I did not expect Kai and Caro to collapse. I did not expect imports by Kairo to get to that point where it imploded or something. I knew it was just a matter of time, maybe if it was Koifiti or something. I was still living on that hope. So, but something, God has a way of communicating again. So I had this conviction to open another business that will give me revenue. So I started shipping parts moja, because you see shipping parts and shipping cars, it's more or less the same. So I remember that point when I was sending my mom that message, I probably had like 1 million worth of parts on back orders. Parts. So your money is tied up. At ile pesa ulikuwa nayo, the small money you have, it's tied up on the parts. Of course, you still paying your bills. Pesa iko imports unafaa kulipa hujalipwa. Just a lot of bad energy. So at that point, I was at one of my lowest points. But you know what? I just thought, look, let me just talk to my mom at the end of the day. Because me and my mom have a history. When I started selling cars, I supported her. And then my mom also, God blessed her, she got to a point where she was also now stable. Like right now, my mom is very stable. She does very well in whatever she does. So there are times she might have a problem and she'll reach out to me and I'll sort her out. The other side, it may be our sibling who has a problem. She'll reach out to me or my mom and we'll sort them out, my two other siblings. Or like at that point, I was the one in problems and I reached out to them. I also reached out to my sister. So that's how we operate. But by the time I was asking that 100K, there was like probably 1 million more, 2 million more that was sunk already in Kai and Caro. Because we started doing back orders. The other kinds of stories apart, almost last year, July. So Kai and Caro is marking 1 year now. Yeah.
It's not every Kayad you come across with a name like Kai and Karo.
Kairo is my grandfather. It's a fun fact, a lot of guys don't know this. When I was resigning from imports, they actually made me sign that I'd never use the name Cairo to trade. And I was like, okay. So Kai is Cairo. Caro is Caroline. And Cairo is my grandfather. Caroline was my grandmother. Yeah. So also my two sisters are called Caroline and I'm Cairo. So you can see the family business. It just comes in. I actually remember I was in town when that thing came. I was in a cafe. Someone's due happy. And I was like, Kai and Caro. Mercantile or something. Shipping. But I never went to shipping. Then I was like, wait, Kai and Caro. Like that. And then just slap a ship logo on it. Done. Yeah.
Do you feel like naming the company after your grandparents was like how you're honoring them?
Yeah, for me it's the heritage. Yeah, because I get inspired by companies like Mercedes. It was named after a person, Porsche, Ferdinand Porsche. You have a company like Audi. The names are the initials of the initial founders. You have companies like Lloyd's, the big shipping company, the Maersk's. All these companies are named after people. I think it's a good way of ensuring a family legacy, which is something I want to do. Again, the Asians are very good at this. See big companies like Sairaj, the name of Laban Singh. Yeah. So very nice, because a time will come and I'll die, and probably my children, if I'll still be in control of this company, if I wouldn't have sold it off or something, you see, my son now can continue the legacy. So maybe 3 years, 4 years, generations down, you still have a company. If you look at some of the most successful companies on earth, they're like 100 years old, 200 years old. So on that sort of legacy. It was just a company that dies with me. Kesho nikisikia like sijui nini nimefanya, now the company is also dead. I want something that can outlive me, maybe for even 10 generations.
One thing Kairo is known for on Twitter is how he deals with people who banter and try to bully him.
If you look at how Elon runs Twitter, or how Elon creates hypes around his product, Elon is a troll. A proper one for that matter. Sasa niseme moja anaweza nifungia account Twitter. But anyway, Elon Musk is a troll. He's not a bad guy, if you ask me. I think he's someone I really want to meet, but he's a troll. Elon will post silly things on Twitter.
Yeah.
People will talk about him, people will insult him, people will comment. What people don't realize is every time Elon does one of those things, if you look at if people who trade stocks, look at how the stocks on his companies perform. Every time Elon does something controversial, and at times not even controversial. Like I remember during the launch of the Cybertruck, Elon, and I'd say he did this intentionally. There was they were doing a test on one of the it's called one of the window pins. And he threw a rock and said that the window pin was bulletproof or something, but the rock went through. So guys, everybody was making fun of him. Hey, you lying, But people did not realize they made so much noise and made the product line such a success that the Cybertruck sold out. Like there were so many orders, if I'm not wrong. I don't know if it sold out, but there were so many orders. Why? Because he's mastered the art of making trolls using negative energy to work for you. I'll give you another very good example. Uhuru Kenyatta, our former president, he got trolled so much on Twitter, he literally shut down his account. So I think in his case, he probably never understood the trick to taking that. You guys who fight karate will tell you, you're trained with martial arts to use an opponent's force against them. If someone pushes you, use that punch to like throw him down. It is the same thing with Twitter. People will troll you. Like I remember initially they were trolling me, and then but now every time they troll me, I'm using that opportunity to push my website, push traffic to the website. So what they don't realize is the more you troll me, actually more money we make, because it means someone is just going to look, oh, why is Kairo trending? Who's this Kairo guy? Kairo, Khalif Kairo. So he bantered someone, now he's trolling. Okay, they're cooking him. But what does this guy do? He sells cars. But then my social media daka acha ni website ya mtu. Kang. The guy has very nice cars. Oh. Okay, so let me inquire. Kidogo. Now akiinquire napata very nice team nini, watu wa kizungu mingi, watu wa marketing na sales. Done. A deal is closed. So people guys are still making noise on Twitter. But now Elon has even taken it to a higher level. Now the more they troll you, the more they talk about you. Now you get paid. And life could never be the same. Life could never be any better than this. I mean, it's just living through a dream. It's crazy. Making the best out of a bad situation. Yeah. But for me, I think I've been bullied in high school. I've seen bad things. I grew up in the ghetto. I've struggled. I've seen my mom suffer. So I think I've really developed a very thick skin. So even the trolls, in fact, if I show you my Twitter right now, sija block mtu, not even one person, because nobody has ever gotten to me to that level. I'm still waiting to see who will get to that level. But it never gets to me.
Kairo's passion doesn't stop at cars.
As far as I can remember, even in class 6, I used to read a lot of books. The school I went to, it's called World. It's in Kawangware. I used to have this library that had donations, book donations by Wazungus from the school is actually supported by Wazungus. Mission of Mercy, MOM. So these guys support the school. So that school had very nice learning materials. learning materials gani? I'm talking about encyclopedia. You know those zile encyclopedia kubwa that have A, B, so A, B, C, D, very nice history books. These are books that have been donated by probably American schools. So I remember when I was in class 6, I used to read a lot of encyclopedias, like a lot of random stuff. And from that point, that's when I remember I started actually reading about aircraft. So I remember at class 6, I could tell you what makes a plane go up, what makes a plane go down. At class 6, I remember I was making plane models using motors from radios, like not try to recreate, you know, the rotor blades of a helicopter. So I was doing a lot of crazy things at that age. So they always say that my flying thing has always been there from a very, very long time. And I remember the first trip to Wilson Airport was in 2001. I was like probably 4 or 5 years old at that point, and I still remember. Then I always tell people, there's also this song, Siamini by TID. So what he does on the song is, there's a part of that video where they are flying an aircraft caravan, then he has this nice beautiful girl, and they're flying, I think, above Zanzibar or something. And I remember watching that video 204 or 205, and I was like, fuck, I want to be this guy. So growing up, you don't actually realize it, but it's the small things that ingrain inside you. So you go to pole pole until now. When I grew old and I became a big boy, so I decided, you know, look, now it's time to pursue that thing that I've always wanted to do. I joined flight school in 2019. Took a 2-year break because of COVID. 2020, couldn't fly. 2021, I was like, now things are starting to stabilize. Let me go back to school. And then last year I finished flight school. But due to the imports by Kairo saga, again, I had to defer school for like 4 months. Then this year I went back to school, aced all my exams, got my PPL. Right now I'm working on my CPL. So probably Mungu akisaidia by December or November, I'll have a commercial license. Yeah.
So can you say, are you just passionate about planes, or do you make money out of it?
No, I do. I broker charters, for instance. I have a lot of friends in Wilson who like run flight schools, not flight schools, who run a charter companies. Sometimes, like right now, if you needed a chopper, I can organize one for you. Just make a call, give you a quote, haraka. We're actually setting up an aircraft sourcing and selling company. It's called Jetman. Yeah, probably one of the first aircraft brokerages for selling and owned by indigenous Africans, because the business model is there. The guys who do it even in Wilson, but these are international companies. Like, these are big boys. So I'm like, I look at you guys now, guys my age, and I'm like, our parents were really into land, us we are really into probably cars and stuff. The next thing that you're going to do is to become a flying person of flying, which is a big thing in places like South Africa, in the US, in Europe. So we are setting up like a brokerage for aircraft, selling, leasing, you know, just getting the word out there that there are so many places in Kenya you could visit, but you need to charter a plane. Yeah. So it's a different ball game of luxury that people don't know about. Not because they can't afford, but because nobody has sold the concept to the right people or in the right way. Yeah.
Do you think that we get to that point where, like, you know, if I want to move, like, for example, in Kirinyaga, I can use a plane instead of a bus?
Yeah, we are going there. Come to think about it, 10 years from now, 2005, 2000. If you imagine in 2002, let me just talk about our parents. Look at the cars our parents drive. And our parents now, G generation, the 60s, they're the ones who are running the show. Even President Ruto belongs to that generation. These guys are money, they have money. Like, look at maybe the president. What car does he drive? It's a Lexus or a Toyota. Them, they have a way of doing their things. They have the way of spending their money. Our parents are obsessed with land. You know, kama ni gari wanajua ni Toyota. Because they grew up at that point when grew up, a status symbol was a Corolla. Maybe in the 2000s, a Fielder, a Premium. But there's a new breed of money coming in. You have guys who are like, you have guys from the 80s, 90s who are into tech. You have guys who are entrepreneurs. You have guys who are making music. You have kids who are coding. You have guys who are doing so many other things that our parents never foresaw. TikTok is paying people. YouTube is paying people. Look like Angalia Mseka Abel, the storyteller. Really like that guy. He drives a Discovery. He drives a very premium car. Not because he reports to a 9-to-5 job, but he tells stories in such a good way that he earns a lot of revenue from it. Now what we are going to see, those people, if we continue the same trajectory in this internet age, watu wakimaliza kununua magari, the next thing they generally want to buy, it's either boats or planes. Now if I base my argument based on trends in other countries, look at the US, where people have been making that sort of wealth from Kitambo. If you look at the US in the 60s, 70s, the 80s, there was a boom of personal aircraft. Those are the days when Cessna used to chuck a new model every year, because there was we call them hobby pilots, or people who fly as a hobby. But it comes at a certain level of income. And we thank God for capitalism, because capitalism is the easiest way to remove people from poverty. So our parents were fighting poverty, and they struggled while at it, wakatufikisha kwenye tumefika. Now us, our challenges are not poverty. So even hata tukasema wale watu wako poor in Nairobi, okay, the guys who live in Kibera and stuff, but even if you look at the average Nairobian, there are things they have access to. You have access to Wi-Fi, you have access to the internet, you have access to things that our parents would have called luxuries. So even owning a car nowadays is not a big deal. You literally go to Mombasa or come to Kai and Cairo and just get a very cheap car at very discounted rates. So these are things that our parents never had. So for us, it doesn't make sense. So what will be the flex in the next 5 years? Freaking jets. Yeah. The rich guys will want to buy jets. In Nigeria, it's such a big business. I went to this place in it was in Johannesburg, and needs to retreat a jetman, trying to make networks with the right people who sell aircraft in South Africa. And they took me to a hangar where they showed me a couple of Hawker jets. Hawker is an American company. Hawker is actually a British company. I think Dassault or Hawker. Dassault is French, Hawker is British. They make jets, very nice jets. And I was shown a lot of those jets, and then I asked, is it jets not like Nisa South Africa? They were like, no, these jets are Nigerian. So for the Nigerians, it's a big deal. Nigerians already spend a lot of money on jets. So it's just a matter of time before that standard comes to Kenya. Of course, in Nigeria, they have the oil money. But even in Kenya, we're going to have the tech money. There are so many innovations coming up. So I'm trying to create I want to be one of the pioneers in that industry. I was never a pioneer in the car industry. The guys who came before me, the guys who sell way more cars than me. But I feel in the aviation industry, there's a lot of potential. Because if you look at the aviation industry in Kenya, it's all linked. Everybody's just targeting the same clientele.
Yeah.
You go to Wilson and they'll tell you the high season is April to August. So who comes at April to August? Those are the tourists, guys who go into the Mara. But after that, there's always a dip in air travel, especially for charters in Kenya, because a lot of guys don't. The charter, the average Kenyan won't charter. You'd rather drive to Kirinyaga. But if I give you a very good deal and I told you I could put you on a 4-seater plane and fly you to Kirinyaga for a better cost and save your time, you might actually consider it. So there's just a bit of work that needs to be done in terms of groundwork and marketing. Yeah.
Sometimes our biggest challenge is not material things.
Biggest fear is yourself. Doubting yourself, doubting your abilities, and failing to know God. If you don't know God, or if you don't acknowledge God, or if you don't acknowledge how powerful God is, then you won't go far, because you'll always doubt yourself. But once you understand how God operates, you understand what God can do, and you don't put any limits to God, there's nothing you can't achieve. So the first enemy is you. And even for me, the first enemy was me. I did things that were holding me back. But now, because I've seen the light and I understand how the world operates and whatnot, now I think there's no limitation. Yeah. But it's always you. Before you start saying bad friends, bad girlfriends, Genie, it's always you. And then before you also throw the devil in the mix, it's always you. Yeah. Because a lot of people doubt themselves. I mean, go through Twitter. Even a lot of guys who troll me, and at times I just the other day I wrote that there's a lot of money in the military industrial complex. Guys were like, hata kama unaota too much, umeenda sana. So I'm so angry. I'm like, how stupid can you be? I mean, dream so big that when you fail, in quotes, you fail with a bank balance of like 100 billion shillings or something. Because you worked so hard, did so many crazy things that when, imagine if Elon failed today, if Elon today said, Elon has failed, mambo yake imeenda mbaya. I mean, the guy still retires with a lot of money to boot. Same SpaceX kesho collapse, ama Twitter collapse. So Twitter imekosa kuwa. But the guy has other way more successful companies. Yeah. So I think your self-doubt, your kujidharau is the biggest enemy to any African child in Kenya. Yeah, because watu hujidharau. And I understand it's how you are raised. Remember our parents were battling poverty. So they coded us to live a life like them. For them, it was always about getting a job, going to school, getting a job, being stable. So vision yetu inakuanga hapo kwa being stable. So I have a car, I have a house in Ruiru, and I have a wife. I'm stable. So imeishia hapo. But maybe the kids who had richer parents, the dynasties of those days, maybe walikuwa wanaenda place ka London, wanaona mtu anaweza nunua Ferrari, anaweza fanya nini, so they dreamt big. I think your lack of exposure, kujidoubt na kutojua Mungu.
Advice to being successful is simple but hard to follow.
Mungu mbele, bidii na ujanja. Sounds cliche but it's true. Mungu mbele ni just be godly and be a good person. Being godly is not going to church. It's being a nice person. What do I mean say being a nice? Be honest. Saidia watu wengine, usikuwe na roho chafu. Hiyo kuna watu wako na roho chafu, like just look at other people, you hate other people for no apparent reason. That actually puts limit even on your own success. So put away the bad energy, have a positive heart towards other people, and love God. Then just put a lot of effort. Be consistent. Yeah. Ukinipata hapa, if I'm looking para nikilecture song wa sales, I'm always telling them like, look, mimi when I wake up, I have to do a post. Siku ikisha kama sija post Twitter ama Instagram ama FB, hey bro, no, someday I feel like I'm sick. It doesn't, because I've trained myself to be consistent. Yeah, that even when I work, when I make my videos, it doesn't feel like work. I'm having fun. So I made a TikTok. You guys come back like, I saw your account TikTok, but me nikifanyia TikTok, I was just having fun. So hard work, pia kuwa creative. Don't follow the route. Wewe unaweza kuwa unapenda Mungu, ni mtu mzuri, you're hardworking, but hauna ideas. Now try innovate. I keep telling guys even on Twitter like, chukua ndege. Uwana savings 200k. Enda Dubai tu. 5 days tu. Enda uone venye Waarabu wanaishi huko. Enda uone venye maisha iko huko nje. Inakupatianga very different perspective. Inakupatia very different ideas, and you have generated a new way of doing things. Yeah.
So, tukimaliza. Watu wanaonanga video zako za that is as a car gari hivi, when you're going to road trips, hadi mwingine andai wanauliza una shoot na camera gani hivyo yani?
I mostly use GoPros. You can get the GoPros for the exterior shots. Go with the DJI Mavic. Not Mavic, Air 2S. It's my favorite drone. So a drone outside, have one team member, then be invest in research. Mimi ndo ni shoot nifike hiyo production level is because I've researched. I took time. I watch guys like Karo. I wonder how is Karo getting this shot. Oh, so he used this camera. I go buy it. Invest. We spent over last year, niki set up Kai and Cairo, we spent over 1 million on cameras alone. Yeah. The drone is like $250,000. Weka hizo GoPro kama 4. This GoPro is like 80,000. Anza kuweka vitu za sound, hizo magimbal nini, the selfie sticks. It gets to 1 million really quickly. Yeah.
How did you come to work with President?
Okay, how do I know Kena? Kena bele tulimit wapi? We enjoy my memory. We met with Kenal nikiwa imports. Remember there's a show we did in Nyahururu ya magari, Kosa, which we partnered with the MK Motorsports, and then imports by Kairo and Flightstar. And we did one of the best car events in Kenya, pale Nyahururu. So that's when we paid Kena to influence for us. We did a good job. So we became friends, we talk. He's my buddy. And juzi sasa venye they did that in ndege, we partnered. Yeah.